All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to just kind of answer some of these questions. And again, this is a good place to either go back and look at your paper on the front side of this, or possibly look at the chart that your teacher will have with all the different shapes that we talk about. And it says, list all the properties that are shared by all of the squares that you worked with today. So we're going to go ahead and think about it. We know that they all have 4 sides. Okay. They all have 90-degree angles. We know that the opposite sides are parallel. And we also know that their diagonals are perpendicular bisectors. Okay, remember, like a perpendicular bisector, when you do this, I'm going to switch this over to look at this side, is that a perpendicular bisector would basically have like that 90-degree angle as well right there, okay? Then it says list all the properties shared by all of the kites that you worked with today. Okay, so we know that they have 4 sides. They have 2 sets of sides with equal length. They have 1 set, or I should put at least, opposite angles that are equal, and diagonals cross at right angles. One bisects the other, okay? So when we look at our shapes, you'll kind of see how that all works with it, okay? So then the next one, it says, when can a rhombus also be called a square? It can also be called a square when it has 4 right angles. Okay, when can a kite also be called a square? It can be called a square when it has 4 sides that are equal in length and 90-degree angles. Okay, then it says, when can a trapezoid be called a kite? And that can be when it has 2 pairs of equal adjacent sides. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this model right here, okay? And you guys do have this, and this is something that is really good with this, is that you can kind of see when everything can be called what they would be called. So a quadrilateral is every single one of these shapes. Every single one of these shapes can be called a quadrilateral. And if you kind of look in here, this is when you can call all the different shapes different things. And so of course, kite's kind of hanging out here on its own because there are some times that a kite can't be called certain shapes. But you've got parallelograms can be called trapezoids, they can be called rectangles, they can be called squares, rhombuses, and kites. So this just kind of goes on to say what all the different shapes can be called, and they don't necessarily just have one name. Each of them have their own attributes that define them, but then we also have other shapes that those attributes can work for another shape. For example, your square and your rectangle. Okay, there are times that a square and a rectangle can be called each other, but then there's times where you